Hey everybody, I've been getting a lot of emails and messages from guys who have been scammed or they think they've been scammed and asking me my opinion. Well, before I do anything like that, let me tell you about my experience where I thought I was scammed, but after you hear the story, maybe I was a willing participant, maybe it wasn't a scam, maybe it was a lack of judgment, trusting the wrong person. So let me just tell you what happened. Back in late 2014, I met a young lady online. Now she was in her 28, 29-year-old girl, and she had 2 kids. And she was a domestic worker in Cebu City. And we started chatting back and forth, video chatting. During her work day, she would turn the phone on, video chat me, set the phone on the counter, and talk to me while she was working. Everything was going good. I was enjoying the company. There was no asking anything from me. We talked for about a month. Then it started to become Christmas time, and I decided I was going to be a nice guy and buy her a Christmas gift. I bought a Samsung phone on Amazon. It was a reconditioned, unlocked phone for about $250, and I had it shipped to her in the Philippines. She received it, and that was like her Christmas gift for being nice to me. And then I started getting the story of she had 2 kids, and I knew that from the beginning, but she started to tell me that these kids, her parents weren't feeding the children. She had a mom and a stepfather, and that the children were sort of like the last thing that they fed. They would use the money for drinking. So I started to send money once a week to her to send home so she could feed her kids better. And I started to really like this girl. And we were talking every day, and I was sending a little bit of money here and there. Never a great deal of money. Maybe 4,000 pesos, $60, $80. But I was doing this a couple times a month. So at one point, I felt so sorry about her children. She showed me a picture of her youngest son, and he was so skinny. And I told her, go ahead and just quit your job, go back home and take care of your kids. I really had a soft spot for the youngest son of hers. So she quit her job and she went back home, and I started supporting her while she was in the province. And this is somewhere near Toledo in Cebu. And she was living with her mom, her stepfather, and her 2 kids. And the situation that she was describing to me wasn't that good. So I told her, where else can you go live? So she told me she could go live with her cousin. And I said, go ahead. And I paid for the moving expense. And really that's just a couple bus tickets, a couple trike rides for her to pack up her kids and go to her cousin's house. And the cousin accepted her there, and she was going to live there until I came to the Philippines. So this was around February of 2015 where she left her mother's house and moved in with her cousin. And her cousin had a husband, they had a couple kids, and I would help support. And I was sending money weekly to them. Now this was starting to become more expensive than I anticipated in the beginning, but it still wasn't a great deal of money in the scope of things. I think the grand total in 1 week I would send is 6,000 pesos. So that's $100 a week, $120 a week for 4 weeks in a month. So it's just under 500 US a month I was sending her. But the thing was, at her cousin's house, there was no internet connection and the data service was bad. And this is the big thing everybody hears about. It's hard to get a signal when you live in the province. So we decided for her to move into town, move into Toledo, and stay at a boarding house with her and her kids until I got there. And my plans were to come in July. So we're in March now, and she's moving into a boarding house. That's 5,000 pesos a month for the boarding house, 1,000 pesos for the electricity, plus they need food, clothes, and I just kept sending money every week with the anticipation of that this was going to be the girl I'm going to stay with when I come to the Philippines. Now the boarding house I didn't like it. When I saw it on video chat, it was, you know, low grade housing. It was something substandard that I would never live in or have anybody I love live in that house. So I started looking online for places to live, and I found a house in Talisay, Cebu, right outside of Cebu City, and it was $9,000 a month, fully furnished, aircon, TV, it had everything in it. And so I decided to rent that, and now it's May 1st is when I rented it in 2015. The owner lived in Belgium, so I contacted the owner in Belgium. We talked about it, and she let me have the place for 9,000 pesos a month. Now remember, I'm paying 3,000 to 5,000 pesos to live in a dump in Toledo, so this was an upgrade, and this is the house that I'm planning to live in when I come here in July of 2015. So I pay for her to move down, and I had to pay for a couple cousins to help her take all her stuff down there and move into this house. So they moved in, and now I've paid the rent, I paid the security deposit. She's in the house now, and after a month everything's going good. We're talking a lot, you know, there's a lot of video chatting. But the end of May, the landlord called me and said, "Mike, there's a guy living in the house, and they run the air conditioning 24/7. They run the air conditioning all day long, all night long." Well, that threw up so many red flags to me, like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? So I contacted the girl, and I asked her, and she says, "Mike, I have something to tell you." Now we're in the first part of June, and in July, I'm flying to the Philippines to retire. So I go, okay, what is it you're going to tell me? And I'm expecting her to tell me that she's got a boyfriend there, she's trying to break off with him, you know, this kind of thing. No, she tells me, "Mike, I'm pregnant. I'm 5-6 months pregnant." My God, how blind am I? I never noticed that her belly was popping up. These girls are so thin, so small, you know, just blind trust, I guess. So she's 5-6 months pregnant. I get really pissed off, and I said, well, you have no choice, but you have to leave. So I called the owner of the house, and I told him I have to get her out of there, and you know, I'm not going to pay rent anymore. And I didn't blame the homeowner. You know, I was going to take care of them financially, anything I owed them. But to get the girl out of the house, we got into this crying match. Oh, I have no money to get anywhere. I don't have nothing to go anywhere. So I had to pay her to leave. So I told the owner of the house, whose neighbor was a friend of hers, the neighbor of the house that this girl was in Talisay, I'll send $4,000 down to her. Once she's all the way out of the house and you have the keys, give her the $4,000 to go on her way. So after 2 days of blah blah back and forth, she finally moved out of the house, and she gave her the $4,000, and then I was done with her for that moment. Now I just had to make it up to the landlord. Luckily, she had another tenant going that would rent that right away because it was a great price, good location. So all I had to do was pay the 2 months that I used and all the electric and water bill that it got accumulated. I didn't have to worry about the long-term lease obligations. But I had to cancel my flight. I decided, well, I'm not going to go now. You know, I'm going to just stay here. You know, the experience was so bad. I was devastated. I was heartbroken, and I decided I was going to just stay in the United States, work a few more years before I finally pulled the trigger and come to the Philippines. In the meantime, this girl ends up back at her cousin's house, and she's chatting me still. Now, I didn't block her. I'm just set in my ways. I'm never going to send her any more money, nothing. I'm the fool. I'm the foolish guy. I did the foolish thing. I did everything everybody told you not to do. Never send money without meeting the girl in person. Never get too involved with a girl until you meet her in person. Definitely don't rent them a house or an apartment before you get there. That was bad. Very embarrassing because of the homeowner situation, and you know, I was humiliated that I was doing all this and this girl was messing around with another guy. But it ended up being that a couple years later, this girl now has 4 children, and all 4 children have different fathers. So, you know, she still contacts me from time to time. How you doing? But, you know, there's no money exchange, no load, no nothing. Lesson learned. You start off in these relationships with nothing involved but communication. And then you start with the load. Hey, let me send you some load. The girl takes the load. It's only a couple bucks. It's very cheap. Then you get drawn into a phone because their phone breaks. And because they don't have a phone, they can't talk to you anymore on video chat. And you're devastated. You want to talk to this person. You know, this is the person that in your mind you think loves you and you love them. And, you know, it just doesn't work out that way. And then after they get the phone, now the next step. I want to quit my job. Will you support me? Well, that's the next step. You know, they quit their job and then you start sending them monthly or weekly support. Then once you're sending them the support, they don't like where they're living. And they need to live somewhere else. They need to live by themselves so they can talk to you, so they can have freedom. They're restricted living under someone else's roof. So you say, it just makes sense. Yeah, I'm going to put you in a boarding house, or I'll get you an apartment, or I'll get you a small house to rent, and you can go live there until I come. It's a step by step by step process, and it starts off with that little bit of money in the beginning for load. Then a little bit more money, a phone, a Christmas gift. Then a little bit more money, can you support me? And so you have time to talk to this girl all the time. It's just on and on. And then finally, when you're getting close to come and meeting them and getting close to being with them, they hit you with the news that they're pregnant, or they got a boyfriend, or they have a husband, or they just block you altogether. So guys, all of you that think you're being scammed, maybe you are, maybe you aren't, but we're willing participants. When we first start, we're doing it because we want to. We're doing it because we're nice guys. Yes, load, big deal. Yes, a phone, a couple $100, big deal. You know, we're making $1,000 a week or more in some cases. Then you help support them, and that's a couple $100 a month, $500 a month. It's not a big deal, you know. So, but it slowly adds up to a tremendous amount of money. And the girls here in the Philippines, that's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. Anything over $200 US a month to a Filipina that lives in the province, that's a lot of money. But you get drawn in to be that good guy, that knight in the shining armor that's coming to save her from poverty, and you take her from, you know, being a domestic worker or in a very bad job or no job at all, and then start to support her. And then you've not only supporting her, but you're moving her into a better place to live with the hopes that you're going to come there and live with her. But when that date gets close, that's when you find out if it's real or not. If she's there at the airport for you and welcomes you with open arms, hi honey, I love you, I'm glad to see you finally, and you meet her and everything's great, that's great. But a lot of cases, as that date gets close, as you have that plane ticket in your pocket, as you know the exact date you're going to land, something's going to happen. Either she's going to have a fight with you, she's either going to tell you that she has a boyfriend or a husband, tell you that she has more kids than she has, or she's just going to block you because the scam's over, because you're coming here, and when you meet someone face to face, the scam's over. So all you guys telling me all these things, how this girl's scamming you, I think it's more you're a willing participant in the scam. It's not, I don't think they start off as a total scam, but it grows, and the money that you give them is easy money. And it gets in their head, oh, he's rich. I need another 5,000 pesos, he'll send it. And you do, and you do. And I did. So, you know, I learned my lesson there. I've been scammed more than this one time. I'll share another scam with you later. It's not because I'm stupid. It's because I'm too trusting. I trust these people. And remember, I talked to her for 2 months before I sent her anything more than a couple bucks worth of load. And then it was a Christmas gift. And then it was the child that needed care. And then I didn't want her working for nothing as a domestic. And then I wanted her to have her own place. And then I wanted her to be in a place that we could live in together when I got there. And as time got close, here it is July, I'm getting ready to get on the plane. 2 weeks before that, she tells me she's 5 or 6 months pregnant. So let me know in the comments section what you think about this story. It is factual, it is truth. It did happen to me. Let me know if I was scammed, or I was a sucker, I was foolish, or I just trusted too much. Remember guys, go into all your relationships with your eyes wide open. Don't give too much until you meet. And if you ask Janet, she'll tell you, never give anything until you meet in person. That's her philosophy. Thanks for watching.